Greetings viewers, I am Eric the Car Guy. Thank you for tuning in today. This is the ETCG1 channel, and I start things off on ETCG1 with, hey, if it's your birthday, happy birthday, please enjoy this digital cake. For today's topic, I want to talk about the second golden age of hot rods, which is, I believe, the time that we're living in right now. This is, well, might as well be March 2021. And despite everything else that's going on in the world, as far as horsepower, as far as vehicles that are out there, there is virtually anything you want that's available now, which is, I believe, unlike any other time in history. I would say that the first golden age of hot rods was in the 50s and 60s. Back in the late 40s, servicemen were returning from the war, particularly aircraft mechanics, and they decided, well, I wonder if that supercharger would work on my car. And they did exactly that, and they headed out to Bonneville Salt Flats just to see how fast those cars would go. And I think that is the genesis of Southern California and hot rodding, which spurred on an entire movement from then on, it seemed. Even the manufacturers got into the game. They were making vehicles specifically for the track. You could go to Hertz and rent a car that was basically a race car and head to the track. I mean, it was that time. It was stoplight to stoplight fun. It was, there was a lot going on until the early 70s when the oil embargo hit, and that fell out of fashion right quick. In fact, I think that's kind of the genesis of a lot of the barn finds now, or right around that time period. A lot of people just put their hot rods in the garage and were waiting for fuel prices to come down one day. Maybe they never got to it or whatever, but I think that's about the time a lot of them went in. And then during the 80s, there was the cash for clunkers thing, and a lot of vehicles, well, they got crushed. Come in about, I would say, early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, I think things started to come around again. And we started to see more and more hot rods being built. And where we are now, well into it, it's 2021, you can get an LS and an eBay turbo and have 1,000 horsepower, which was virtually unheard of some time ago. The things that are available, and for not just domestic vehicles, but European vehicles, Asian vehicles, I mean, there are clubs and niches and everything for everybody. And I think it's freaking amazing, and I am afraid that it might be over. Now, I've recently posted a few videos about electric vehicles and how major manufacturers like General Motors and Ford are switching over to an all-electric fleet in the not too distant future. I believe 2035 is the number that they're shooting for. So in the next 14 years, they are going to convert over from gasoline-powered vehicles to electric vehicles, according to what they say. And I believe them, because it's going to take some time to develop that, to switch over the manufacturing, the assembly lines and all that stuff to get there. So to start doing that now, to start that development now, puts them in that position at that time. But that commits them. So I don't think there's going to be much going back after that point, and that's my concern. So is this the end of the golden age, or the second golden age of hot rodding? I really wonder that. Another thing that might be writing on the wall, Stellantis, which owns Chrysler Dodge now, used to be owned by Fiat, they have disbanded the SRT division, and the SRT division within Dodge was their performance division, and they were responsible for things like making Demons and stuff like that. So it seems that Dodge may be moving in that direction as well. It sucks because, I mean, they made some really cool cars. In fact, I love a Hellcat wide body. Absolutely love it. The Red Eye is also really, really good. Love that car. I've had the opportunity to drive them both, and that supercharger whine, it's like a symphony. It's a beautiful thing. I'm concerned that by the time we hit 2035, what are we going to have? Now, maybe there's a little bit of hope here, because I was at SEMA back in 2019, the last time they had a SEMA, which is the Specialty Equipment Marketing Association, that is basically the association of aftermarket providers for the automotive world. And also the original equipment providers go to that. But it's really a collection of a lot of companies that make things for the aftermarket that allow you to do the hot rodding that you do today. Anyway, Chevy, right out in the corner of their booth, had a pickup truck with an electric crate motor in it. And it's proper to call that a crate motor, because that's exactly what it is. And it came with everything needed, and it bolts up to, I believe, their standard transmission bell housings. So you're able to drop in an electric motor in place of a gasoline-powered motor. Now you have to figure out all the batteries and everything else, But it's interesting that they're offering a crate option, or at least put it out there now. I don't know if they were trying to sneak it in there or what, but it was there. It kind of gives me hope. And I think more than anything else, if you think about the essence of hot rodding and what hot rodding is, back to earlier when I mentioned the first golden age and how it got started, these were aircraft mechanics who knew machines and knew engines and knew how to increase performance. They made these things. These parts weren't available from a catalog that they went and ordered. No, they welded it together, they put it together, and they made it happen. And I think that's the essence of what hot rodding is. It's really taking something that isn't and making it is. And that, at least for me, is the most exciting part of all of it. So that kind of gives me hope for the future that, you know, when we do get to that point where we may be looking at an entirely electric fleet, that possibly there could be some room for some modifications in there that we might be able to sneak in or what have you. My concern is that the laws and legislation may prevent things and may box us in. In fact, I've mentioned in the past the Rush song Red Barchetta, which alludes to a motor law, which from the song you gather is, okay, the end of internal combustion, you can't have it. In fact, they're sending robots out to chase him down the road because he's driving an internal combustion engine. I hope it never comes to that, but I worry. I worry. But I also have hope because, like I said, there are smart people out there that do smart things, and I hope they continue to do so, because that, I think, is the essence of hot rodding. So even though we may not have the same things available today, it might be a period like the 80s were, which was kind of a not so great period for hot rodding, so to speak. I mean, some people would argue with that, and that's fine, but I don't think it had the same level as it did in the 50s and 60s, or that it does now. I think that was definitely a lull. And we may very well be looking at another one of those. I don't know. I don't know. What do you think? This is the discussion channel. This is why I make these videos. I have these thoughts. I share these thoughts with you. You share your thoughts with me down in the comments, and well, we have a good time doing it. I'll put links in the description to additional videos and other stuff that you might be interested in, articles and things that I've found about some of the things that I mentioned. I will also put a link to ericthecarguy.com in the description, which is where I ask you go if you have automotive questions. Other than that, thank you so much for watching today. Be safe, have fun, stay dirty, and I will see you next time.